I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie.
Diddy's trial just took the wildest turn yet, and word is that one of Diddy's sex slaves took the stand to reveal all that transpired between him and Diddy.
I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, but he's scared that I was exposed.
If what this witness is saying is true, even Diddy's lawyers may not be able to keep Diddy out of jail. We have the full gist. Let's break it down. From conspiracy theory to federal evidence. Let's start with Jonathan Oddie, a name that should send chills down Diddy's spine every time it's mentioned in court. Picture this, it's 2018, and a man storms into Trump National Doral Golf Club in Miami, firing shots at the ceiling and draping an American flag across the front desk. When police arrive, there's a shootout. The man, later identified as Jonathan Oddie, is shot in both legs and arrested. Most people would write this off as another disturbed individual losing his mind, but what Oddie said next would haunt the entertainment world for years to come. During his police interrogation, while still wearing what appears to be a hospital gown, Oddie made wild claims about being Sean Diddy Combs' sex slave. The footage is bizarre, uncomfortable, and was immediately dismissed by most as the ravings of an unstable man. But here's where the story gets absolutely insane. In 2025, during Diddy's federal trial, many of Oddie's seemingly impossible claims are being corroborated by other witnesses and evidence. Let me paint you the full picture of what Oddie claimed during that interrogation.
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
The interrogator sets the stage, and what follows is one of the most explosive testimonies that would later prove prophetic.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie.
Now think about this for a moment. In 2018, Oddie was claiming that Diddy forced him to have sex with Cassie Ventura, while Diddy watched and he claimed he contracted herpes from these encounters and sued Diddy, receiving a settlement. At the time, these claims seemed outrageous, impossible to believe. But fast forward to 2025, and we have Daniel Phillips, a male escort, testifying in federal court about almost identical experiences with Diddy and Cassie. But Oddie's claims went even further into conspiracy territory.
They move what's called high-grade powder MDMA. They move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie.
The details about liquid cocaine are particularly chilling.
I seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time.
Oddie describes not just witnessing this alleged drug use, but being forced to participate in it during sexual encounters. He spoke about liquid cocaine being mixed into bottles, about drug-fueled parties that lasted for days, about a network of powerful people covering up these activities. At the time, law enforcement and the media treated Oddie as an unhinged conspiracy theorist. But here's what makes this story absolutely mind-blowing. During federal raids on Diddy's properties in March 2024, authorities seized over 10,000 bottles of baby oil and narcotics, items that prosecutors allege were used in the exact type of freak-off parties that Oddie described years earlier. This casual mention of a settlement with Sean Combs was something that investigators initially dismissed, but would later prove to be a crucial piece of the puzzle. Even more disturbing,
I've had a great life. I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, was he scared that I was exposed?
Wait, let's break this down. Oddie is claiming he received over $4 million from Diddy and that Diddy was afraid of him exposing something. This wasn't just about keeping quiet about consensual activities, this was about silencing someone who had explosive information. The question of how a man dismissed as a dangerous lunatic could have such specific, accurate knowledge about what federal investigators would later discover is one that haunts this entire case. Oddie didn't just make vague accusations, he provided details that have proven remarkably consistent with other testimony and evidence presented in court years later. But the story gets even more complex when we consider Oddie's background. He was a former adult film actor and stripper who claimed to have met Diddy at a Star Island party and transitioned into pornography. This background made it easier for people to dismiss his claims. After all, who would believe a porn star claiming to be the sex slave of one of music's most powerful figures? But even in his interrogation, Oddie showed an understanding of the broader connections and conspiracies he believed were at play.
They land all the contracts. It's these attorneys, which are Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years, and worked for Hillary Rodman for 5. Okay?
He wasn't just making wild accusations, he was describing a network of legal protection, naming specific attorneys and their connections to Diddy's empire. This level of detail suggests someone who had insider knowledge of how these alleged operations worked. The transformation of Oddie from laughingstock to potential key witness is perhaps one of the most dramatic reversals in recent legal history. Legal experts now suggest that Oddie's 2018 claims are gaining credibility due to Cassie Ventura's trial testimony confirming sexual relations with him and the emergence of an alleged $5 million non-disclosure agreement. But perhaps the most telling validation comes from Oddie's ex-wife, Tonya Troutwine, who has provided crucial insights into the devastating impact these alleged experiences had on Oddie's life. In interviews with TMZ in May 2025, Troutwine stated that Oddie's life was destroyed by his involvement with Diddy, referring to the alleged freak-off sessions with Diddy and Cassie. Troutwine painted a picture of a man whose life completely unraveled after his encounters with Diddy. She described how before these events, Oddie was a go-getter who maintained a healthy lifestyle, but his behavior changed dramatically after meeting Diddy at a Star Island party and transitioning from stripping to pornography. Even more disturbing, she revealed that Oddie still fears retaliation from Diddy, even while incarcerated, but feels somewhat protected in jail due to the distance from Diddy, who is on trial in New York. What makes Oddie's story so compelling isn't just the specificity of his claims, but how they've allegedly been corroborated in court. During Cassie Ventura's testimony on May 16, 2025, she confirmed that she and Diddy had sexual relations with Oddie and expressed distrust, believing he might have recorded one of their freak-off sex parties. This testimony, played alongside an audio recording of Ventura threatening a DJ over a suspected video, has been seen as vindicating Oddie's claims, which were previously dismissed. The audio recording that Troutwine mentioned is particularly chilling. According to reports, this recording allegedly features Ventura threatening someone over a suspected video of one of these encounters. If such recordings exist, if there's video evidence of these alleged freak-offs, it could provide the smoking gun that prosecutors need to prove their case beyond any reasonable doubt. The male escort's devastating testimony. Now we move from the man who was dismissed as a conspiracy theorist to the man whose testimony has become the cornerstone of the federal prosecution's case against Diddy. Daniel Phillips, a 41-year-old male escort and review manager, took the stand on May 12, 2025, and delivered what many legal experts are calling some of the most damaging testimony in recent celebrity trial history. His words were so graphic, so detailed, and so disturbing that they sent shockwaves through the Manhattan federal courthouse. Phillips's testimony lasted about an hour and focused on his interactions with Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, between 2012 and 2014. But this wasn't just any testimony. This was a first-hand account of what prosecutors call freak-offs, the alleged drug-fueled sexual encounters that form the heart of the sex trafficking charges against Diddy. Let me walk you through what Phillips told the court, because the details paint a picture of systematic exploitation and abuse that goes far beyond anything we've seen in previous celebrity scandals. Phillips testified that he was paid between $700 and $6,000 per encounter to have sex with Cassie Ventura, while Diddy watched and These weren't quick encounters. They lasted between 1 to 10 hours, were sometimes filmed, and Phillip wasn't always paid if he couldn't perform sexually. The psychological manipulation that Phillips described reveals a level of control that goes far beyond a simple business transaction. Phillips felt threatened by Diddy, particularly when Diddy took a photograph of his driver's license, which he interpreted as a means to ensure his silence. This wasn't subtle intimidation. This was a clear message about what could happen if Phillips spoke out. Imagine being in that situation. You're an escort, vulnerable and dependent on this income, and suddenly the man paying you is taking pictures of your identification. The message is unmistakable. I know who you are, I know where to find you, and you better keep your mouth shut. But the most chilling aspect of Phillips's testimony wasn't the sexual details, it was his description of the violence he witnessed. Phillips testified that he witnessed Diddy physically abusing Ventura on multiple occasions, including an incident where Diddy hit and dragged her by her hair. He described hearing Ventura scream, I'm sorry, sorry," while being slapped and abused. The specific details Phillips provided paint a picture of encounters that were far from consensual or pleasurable for Cassie. He described how Diddy would give specific directions on when and where to orgasm, awkward role-playing exercises that didn't work well, and instances where Ventura would ask him to urinate on her. These aren't the actions of someone enjoying herself. These are the actions of someone who has been broken down, controlled, and manipulated into participating in degrading acts. Phillips also testified about the drug use that was allegedly integral to these encounters. Phillips testified that Diddy offered him MDMA during these encounters, which made him feel sick, nauseous, and euphoric. This corroborates the claims that Jonathan Oddy made years earlier about liquid cocaine and other drugs being integral to these alleged sessions. What's particularly striking is how Phillips's testimony aligns perfectly with what Oddy claimed in his 2018 interrogation, where Oddy talked about Phillips described similar drug-fueled encounters involving MDMA and other substances. Both men described lengthy sessions involving drugs, both described Diddy watching and directing, and both described the psychological manipulation and control. The business-like nature of these alleged operations becomes clear through Phillips's testimony. He described being contacted by dancing or stripping services to provide these services, and even mentioned that another male sex worker was invited by Diddy and got into a verbal altercation during a threesome. This suggests a level of organization and systematization that goes beyond impulsive behavior. It speaks to what prosecutors argue was a criminal enterprise with multiple moving parts, regular participants, and established protocols. What makes Phillips's testimony so powerful is how it corroborates both Jonathan Oddy's earlier claims and other evidence presented in the trial. Phillips described encounters that took place in hotels across Manhattan and private residences, often involving drugs and lasting for hours. This matches exactly what Oddy claimed in his 2018 interrogation, when he spoke about being forced into similar situations with Diddy and Cassie. The locations Phillips mentioned are significant too. We're not talking about sleazy motels or back alley operations. These alleged encounters took place at high-end hotels across Manhattan, private residences in the city, and specifically at locations like the Jumeirah Essex House Hotel. The use of such upscale venues suggests someone with significant financial resources and the confidence that they could engage in these activities without consequence. The emotional complexity of Phillips's involvement becomes clear when he explains why he continued to participate despite witnessing abuse. He stated that he considered Ventura a friend and wanted to check up on her, and that he feared danger if he aggravated Diddy. This reveals the complex psychology of these situations. Phillips wasn't just a hired escort, he became emotionally invested in Cassie's well-being, even as he was participating in her alleged exploitation. Think about the psychological burden this must have placed on Phillips. He was allegedly being paid to participate in the sexual exploitation of a woman he considered a friend, while simultaneously witnessing her being physically and emotionally abused by the man paying him. The cognitive dissonance alone would be overwhelming, but add to that the fear of retaliation if he spoke out, and you begin to understand why it took years for these stories to emerge. The impact of Phillips's testimony was immediate and visceral. The graphic nature of his account was so disturbing that Diddy's 3 daughters, Chance Combs and 18-year-old twins Delilah and Jesse Combs, left the courtroom twice during the testimony. Imagine sitting in a courtroom and hearing such detailed descriptions of your father's alleged sexual conduct that you have to leave the room. The human cost of these allegations extends far beyond just Diddy. It affects entire families, children who are learning about their parents' alleged dark side in the most public way possible. During his testimony, Phillips revealed details that echo what we heard in the male escort video transcript.
Such as a Jane Doe, whom he, according to the prosecutors, punched and kicked and savaged less than a year ago. Prosecutors told jurors about Jane Doe, who was a single mom when she met Diddy back in 2020.
The pattern of violence that Phillips described wasn't unique to his experiences. It was allegedly part of a broader pattern of abuse against multiple victims. But Phillips's testimony also revealed disturbing details about the filming of these encounters. Phillips mentioned that Diddy videotaped him and Ventura having sex once or twice using a cell phone and camcorder. If such videos exist, they could provide irrefutable evidence of these alleged encounters. More importantly, the existence of such recordings raises questions questions about what other videos might exist, who else might have been filmed, and how such material might have been used to blackmail or control victims. The prosecution has made it clear that Phillips's testimony is central to their case. His account provides first-hand evidence of Diddy's alleged involvement in sex trafficking and coercion, detailing financial transactions and witnessing abusive behavior. Unlike many other witnesses whose testimony might be based on hearsay or second-hand accounts, Phillips was allegedly in the room, participating in and witnessing these events firsthand. Phillips also provided insight into the medical risks associated with these encounters. He testified that they rarely used condoms during their interactions, which aligns with Jonathan Oddy's claim about contracting herpes from his encounters with Diddy and Cassie. This detail adds another layer of alleged exploitation. Not only were these individuals allegedly coerced into sexual acts, but they were also exposed to sexually transmitted diseases without proper protection. The defense has attempted to challenge Phillips's credibility by suggesting that he was a willing participant who could have walked away at any time. But his testimony reveals the complex web of fear, financial dependence, and genuine concern for Cassie that kept him involved. Phillips stated that he would have participated without compensation due to his friendship with Ventura, which undermines any simple narrative about this being purely transactional. The courtroom explosion and what it all means. The atmosphere in the Manhattan Federal Courthouse has been electric throughout Diddy's trial, but nothing could have prepared those in attendance for what happened during Daniel Phillips's cross-examination. While specific details of any outburst remain unconfirmed, multiple sources report that, as Phillips continued to detail the alleged freak-off sessions and the abuse he witnessed, tensions in the courtroom reached a breaking point. What we do know for certain is that the graphic nature of the testimony had a profound impact on everyone present, including Diddy's own family members. The emotional toll of these testimonies cannot be overstated. When the prosecution presented the 2016 surveillance video showing Diddy violently assaulting Cassie Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel hallway, the courtroom fell into complete silence. This wasn't just another piece of evidence, it was visual confirmation of the violence that both Oddy and Phillips had described in their testimonies. The video showed Diddy grabbing Cassie by the neck, throwing her to the ground, kicking her twice, and dragging her by her sweatshirt, exactly the kind of behavior that Phillips testified to witnessing on multiple occasions. But the real bombshell came when Cassie Ventura herself took the stand. During Cassie Ventura's testimony on May 16, 2025, she confirmed that she and Diddy had sexual relations with Oddy and expressed distrust, believing he might have recorded one of their freak-off sex parties. This testimony literally vindicated everything that Jonathan Oddy had claimed in his 2018 interrogation, claims that had been dismissed as the ravings of a madman. Think about the implications of this moment. A woman who had been allegedly abused and exploited for over a decade was now, under oath, confirming the claims of a man who had been written off as a conspiracy theorist. She wasn't just validating Oddy's claims about their sexual encounters, she was also expressing distrust of him, suggesting that even in those allegedly coercive situations, she was aware enough to be concerned about being recorded or blackmailed. During the trial proceedings, we can see how the prosecution has built their case systematically. As one prosecutor explained,
"Today, we've learned about other women, not just Cassie, whom prosecutors claim that Diddy victimized, such as a Jane Doe, whom he, according to the prosecutors, punched and kicked and savaged less than a year ago."
This wasn't just about Cassie. The prosecution has alleged a pattern of abuse affecting multiple victims. The prosecutor continued with devastating detail.
She, quote, "thought it was a one-off wild night, but loved him desperately and wanted a real relationship with him," the prosecutor said. Jane Doe says that Diddy paid her rent for a house where she lived with her child, and although she tried to resist the freak-offs, he would threaten to no longer financially support her.
This testimony reveals the systematic nature of the alleged coercion, using financial dependence to force participation in sexual acts. Even more disturbing,
He then allegedly continued to punch, kick, drag her by the hair, and slap her face before making her cover her black eye and have intimate relations with an escort.
the pattern emerges: alleged violence followed by forced sexual encounters, exactly what both Oddy and Phillips described in their testimonies. Federal prosecutors have painted a picture of a man who used his fame, wealth, and influence to create what they call a criminal enterprise spanning over 2 decades. The evidence they've presented goes far beyond just the testimonies of Oddy and Phillips. During raids on Diddy's properties, federal agents seized over 1,000 bottles bottles of baby oil and lubricant, narcotics, and electronic devices containing images and videos of freak-offs. The prosecution has also revealed the systematic nature of these alleged operations.
Yes, the prosecutor says that the freak-offs often lasted multiple days and with multiple escorts, and sometimes forced them to travel out of state. The prosecutor says that Diddy directed everything and frequently had staff on hand to replenish lubricant, linens, and drugs for the women and himself, as well as cash for the escorts.
This isn't impulsive behavior. This is allegedly an organized operation with multiple people involved. The sheer volume of items seized during these raids tells its own story. We're not talking about a few bottles of baby oil that you might find in someone's bathroom cabinet. We're talking about over 1,000 bottles, industrial quantities that suggest systematic, organized activities involving multiple participants over extended periods. This evidence directly corroborates what both Oddie and Phillips described, lengthy encounters involving heavy use of lubricants and oils. But the defense has fought back aggressively. Diddy's attorneys, led by Mark Agnifilo and Taney Geragos, have acknowledged episodes of violence but denied that Diddy engaged in sex trafficking or ran a racketeering enterprise. They argue that all sexual activities were consensual and that the prosecution's case is based on the testimony of individuals seeking financial gain through civil lawsuits. The defense's strategy seems to be to separate the acknowledged domestic violence from the sex trafficking allegations. They're essentially saying, yes, Diddy hit Cassie, yes, he was violent, but that doesn't make him a sex trafficker. They've attempted to portray Diddy as a man whose unconventional lifestyle has been criminalized unfairly, arguing that being a swinger with complex relationships doesn't make someone a sex trafficker. The defense has also attempted to challenge the credibility of key witnesses like Phillips, highlighting inconsistencies in their accounts and questioning their motives. They've tried to paint these witnesses as opportunists seeking financial gain or revenge against Diddy, but this strategy has become increasingly difficult as more witnesses come forward with similar stories. However, the accumulating evidence tells a different story. Cassie Ventura's testimony, which began on May 13, 2025, has provided first-hand corroboration of both Oddie's and Phillips's accounts. Her detailed descriptions of abuse, coercion, and the freak-off sessions align perfectly with what these men described years earlier. One of the most powerful aspects of Cassie's testimony was her description of how these alleged freak-offs affected her psychologically.
The feds argue that Diddy repeatedly beat her viciously, whether she was taking too long in the bathroom or missed his calls or left a freak off early, and that he would threaten to release videos of her with dozens and dozens of male escorts. He had the power to ruin her life, says the prosecutor.
This testimony provides crucial context for understanding how someone could be coerced into participating in such activities. It wasn't just about physical force, but about psychological manipulation and control. The impact of this trial extends far beyond the courthouse walls. Over 100 individuals have come forward with civil lawsuits against Diddy, alleging sexual assault, rape, and other misconduct. Some of these allegations involve minors and date back to the early 1990s, suggesting a pattern of behavior that spans decades. These civil lawsuits have revealed even more disturbing allegations. Reports include claims of assault involving children as young as 10 years old, drugging victims at parties, and using the freak-offs as a means of blackmail and control. While these civil cases are separate from the criminal trial, they paint a picture of alleged systematic abuse that goes far beyond what Oddie and Phillips described. The business consequences have been swift and severe. Major brands like Macy's have severed ties with Diddy's Sean John clothing line. He stepped down from Revolt TV, and a Hulu reality series about his family was cancelled. What was once a billion-dollar empire built on music, fashion, and media is crumbling under the weight of these allegations. But perhaps the most significant aspect of this trial is what it represents for the entertainment industry as a whole. Legal experts have compared Diddy's case to those of Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, suggesting it could spark a Me Too-like movement in the hip-hop industry. The similarities are striking. Powerful men using their influence to allegedly exploit and abuse others, systems that protected them for decades, and victims who were silenced until the weight of evidence became undeniable. The role of law enforcement in this case has also been scrutinized.
The first witness called to the stand today is an LAPD officer. Israel Flores was working security at the Hotel Intercontinental in 2016 when Combs was seen on surveillance assaulting Ventura. Flores testified that Cassie did not want the police called, so he did not ring up 911.
This raises questions about how many other incidents may have gone unreported, how many other opportunities there were to stop this alleged abuse. The prosecution's case relies heavily on proving a pattern of behavior, and the testimonies of Oddie and Phillips provide crucial pieces of that puzzle. If convicted on all charges, Diddy faces the possibility of life in prison. The racketeering charge alone carries a potential life sentence, while the sex trafficking charges have a mandatory minimum of 15 years. The trial is expected to last approximately 8 weeks, with additional witnesses, including other alleged victims and associates of Diddy. Each testimony adds another layer to the prosecution's narrative of systematic abuse and exploitation. What makes this case particularly compelling is how it challenges our understanding of consent, power, and exploitation. The defense argues that strong, capable individuals like Cassie Ventura couldn't have been coerced, but prosecutors counter that coercion can affect anyone, regardless of their apparent strength. This debate goes to the heart of how we understand abuse in relationships where there are significant power imbalances. The testimonies of Jonathan Oddie and Daniel Phillips have also highlighted the complex psychology of victims and witnesses in these situations. Oddie's dramatic breakdown in 2018, leading to a shootout at a golf club, suggests the psychological trauma that can result from alleged abuse. Phillips' continued participation, despite witnessing violence, reveals the complex web of fear, financial dependence, and genuine concern that can keep people trapped in exploitative situations. The case has also raised questions about how society treats individuals who come forward with allegations against powerful figures. Oddie was dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, Phillips was dismissed as a paid participant, and for years, many of the allegations against Diddy were treated as rumors or attempts at financial gain. Now, in a federal courtroom, these voices are being heard with the full weight of the legal system behind them. The psychological impact on all parties involved in this trial is immense. We've seen Diddy's daughters leave the courtroom multiple times due to the graphic nature of the testimony. We've heard about the lasting trauma that allegedly affected both Oddie and Phillips, and we've witnessed Cassie Ventura courageously taking the stand to recount some of the most intimate and traumatic experiences of her life. But beyond the individual stories, this trial represents a broader reckoning with power structures in the entertainment industry. For decades, rumors swirled about Diddy's private life, about wild parties and unusual sexual practices. Many of these rumors were dismissed as gossip or sensationalized tabloid fodder. What this trial has revealed is that some of those rumors may have had a much darker foundation in reality. The comparison to other high-profile cases is inevitable but important. Like Harvey Weinstein, Diddy allegedly used his position of power to exploit those who depended on him professionally. Like R. Kelly, he allegedly used his wealth and influence to silence victims and cover up his crimes. But Diddy's case may be unique in the sheer scope of the alleged operation, the number of witnesses, the variety of crimes alleged, and the length of time over which they allegedly occurred. As we await the conclusion of this trial, the voices of Oddie and Phillips will continue to echo in that Manhattan courtroom. Whether Diddy is ultimately convicted or acquitted, the testimonies of Jonathan Oddie and Daniel Phillips have ensured that the alleged truth about what happened in those hotel rooms, at those parties, behind those closed doors, will never again be dismissed as mere conspiracy theory or tabloid gossip. They've spoken their truth, and that truth has shaken the foundations of an empire that many thought was untouchable. Diddy, the iconic music mogul and founder of Bad Boy Records, now finds himself in a place far removed from the spotlight. Recently incarcerated at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, Diddy's final moments behind bars have revealed shocking truths about his time in prison. Facing charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and exploitation, the luxurious lifestyle he once knew is gone, replaced by the harsh realities of prison life. From his struggles with prison food to being placed on suicide watch, these revelations have reshaped public perception of the man once considered untouchable in the music world. Diddy's last moments in prison. Diddy finds himself entangled in a legal battle that has landed him behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, Diddy is no stranger to the limelight, but this time it's for all the wrong reasons. Charged with serious offenses, including racketeering conspiracy, Diddy faces a future that starkly contrasts his once glamorous lifestyle. His attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has recently revealed the most challenging aspect of Diddy's incarceration, and it's not what you might expect. Locked up since September 17th, 2020, 2024, Diddy is now a resident of one of the most notorious detention centers in the United States. Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, often referred to as MDC Brooklyn, is a federal administrative facility that houses male and female inmates. Known for its high-profile detainees, the center has been the subject of numerous controversies over the years, including allegations of poor living conditions and inadequate medical care. For Diddy, a man accustomed to the finest things in life, the adjustment to such an environment is undoubtedly a significant challenge. The daily routine at MDC Brooklyn is a far cry from the glamorous lifestyle Diddy once led. Inmates are awakened at 6 a.m. sharp, with breakfast served shortly thereafter. The morning meal consists of cereal, fruit, toast, and a breakfast cake, a stark contrast to the lavish spreads Diddy was once accustomed to. Lunch is served at 11 a.m., and dinner follows the 4 p.m. head count. The menu, which includes options like Swedish meatballs or a black bean burger, egg noodles, green beans, and a garden salad, is a far cry from the gourmet meals Diddy once enjoyed. The food, as revealed by Diddy's lawyer Mark Agnifilo, is perhaps the roughest part of his incarceration. Agnifilo's comments highlight the stark contrast between Diddy's former life and his current predicament. Imagine switching from a rich diet to an average diet suddenly. I can't imagine what Diddy feels like, right? But it is certainly not a good feeling. These depictions paint a grim picture of meals that are not only unappetizing, but also lacking in nutritional value. The reality of prison food is a stark contrast to the gourmet dining experiences enjoyed by celebrities like Diddy, whose lifestyle is characterized by indulgence and luxury. Prison food is typically described as bland and monotonous, with limited variety and flavor. Meals often consist of processed meats, overcooked vegetables, and starchy sides, all served in a cafeteria-style setting. The quality of the ingredients is generally low, and the preparation methods do little to enhance the taste. This is a far cry from the carefully curated dishes prepared by top chefs that Diddy is accustomed to. The nutritional value of prison food is another area of concern. Many former inmates report that the meals are high in carbohydrates and low in essential nutrients, leading to a diet that is unbalanced and unhealthy. This lack of nutrition can have serious implications for the health and well-being of inmates, who often have little choice but to consume what is provided. For someone like Diddy, who is conscious of his health and appearance, the idea of being subjected to such a diet is understandably unsettling. The fear of eating prison food, as rumored in Diddy's case, is not just about the taste or quality of the meals. It is about the broader implications of what it means to be in prison, the loss of autonomy, and the stark contrast to the life of luxury that he has built. Beyond the food, the conditions at MDC Brooklyn present their own set of challenges. The facility has been criticized for its overcrowded conditions, with inmates often sharing small cells designed for fewer occupants. The lack of privacy and personal space is a significant adjustment for someone like Diddy, who once enjoyed the luxury of sprawling mansions and private retreats. The detention center has also faced scrutiny for its inadequate medical care and limited access to mental health services. For Diddy, who is navigating the stress of a high-profile legal battle, the lack of comprehensive support services can exacerbate the challenges of incarceration. The isolation from the outside world, coupled with the uncertainty of his legal future, adds to the mental strain of life behind bars. What's worse is that the prison he's being kept in is the same place they kept Ghislaine Maxwell and R. Kelly, two other notorious convicted sex traffickers. It's not a nice place, and it's called the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, but don't let its outside appearance fool you. It's a notorious prison that reports say has been plagued by outbreaks of violence, unsanitary conditions, and understaffing. Reports say that Diddy is being kept away from other prisoners for now. We don't yet know when Diddy's trial will be, but we can safely assume he'll be in a hurry to get out of that place, and from what we know about it, there's a chance he doesn't even survive until the trial. If that sounds far-fetched, just remember what happened to Epstein, another accused sex trafficker who was miraculously killed in his cell before he made it to trial. What's more is that the Metropolitan Detention Center has a history of deadly stabbings and barbaric living conditions, and people have also said there are maggots in his food. According to a lawyer, at least 4 inmates have died by suicide there in the past 3 years, and just earlier this summer, an inmate was murdered, so you can see why his lawyer is so desperate to get him out of there. Inmates have claimed there are stabbings at least once a week, and one guy even claimed that he saw somebody stabbed in the eyeball with a makeshift knife. Diddy's legal team has been vocal about their concerns regarding his well-being. They have raised alarms about the conditions at the detention center, emphasizing the toll it could take on their client's mental and physical health. It was later revealed that Diddy was placed on suicide watch to ensure he does cause harm to himself because of his current situation. The revelation that Diddy is on suicide watch has only heightened these concerns, as it suggests a level of distress that is deeply troubling. After some time in jail, his legal team proposed a $50 million bond secured by the equity in his and his mother's houses in Florida. They argued that Diddy had had made himself available for detention and had surrendered his passport, along with those of his daughters and mother, to his legal counsel. Despite these assurances, U.S. Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnowski denied the bail request. The decision to deny Diddy bail was not made lightly, as it involved weighing the arguments presented by both the prosecution and the defense. The prosecution, led by U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, painted a picture of Diddy as a significant risk to the community. They argued that his release could lead to potential witness tampering and further criminal activity. The prosecution highlighted Diddy's alleged substance misuse and anger issues, which they claimed made him a danger if released, even under home detention. The prosecution's case was bolstered by the extensive evidence gathered during the investigation. This included testimony from dozens of witnesses and victims, as well as electronic evidence from Diddy's devices and those of his alleged co-conspirators. The prosecution argued that Diddy's wealth and influence in the entertainment industry could enable him to evade justice or intimidate witnesses, making his release a substantial risk. During Diddy's hearing, the arrival of his family at the Manhattan Federal Courthouse was a spectacle that drew significant attention from both the public and the media. As the family made their way to the courthouse, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation and curiosity. The presence of Diddy's family members was a powerful statement of solidarity as they stood by him amidst the serious allegations he faces. The scene outside the courthouse was a flurry of activity, with reporters and photographers jostling for position to capture the moment. His family all walked into the courtroom in high spirits. The public, too, gathered in significant numbers, some out of support for the hip-hop mogul, others driven by curiosity about the high-profile case. Diddy's twin daughters, Delilah and Jessie Combs, both 17, were among the first to arrive. Holding hands, they walked with a sense of purpose and determination, their expressions a mix of resolve and apprehension. Janice Combs, Diddy's mother, also made her way into the courthouse, her presence a testament to the family's unity and support. The family filled 2 entire rows of the courtroom gallery, a visible show of strength and solidarity. The relaxed-looking rapper appeared to be making a show of having family support while he faces disturbing human exploitation charges, as 6 of his 7 kids appeared in court, and he blew a kiss to his mother on his way out after the 45-minute hearing. "I love you," Diddy said to her. But what exactly are the allegations against Diddy that has led to this situation? Allegations against Diddy and indictment. In the months leading up to September 16, 2024, Diddy found himself navigating a complex web of personal and legal challenges that would ultimately culminate in his arrest by federal authorities. While he maintained a public persona of success and influence, there were underlying issues that hinted at the storm brewing beneath the surface. One of the significant legal issues that Diddy faced was related to financial discrepancies within his business empire. Reports surfaced that federal investigators were scrutinizing the financial records of several of his companies, including Bad Boy Records and Sean John. Allegations of tax evasion and money laundering began to circulate, raising questions about the financial practices within his enterprises. These investigations were part of a broader federal crackdown on financial misconduct in the entertainment industry, targeting high-profile figures suspected of engaging in illicit activities. In addition to the financial scrutiny, Diddy was embroiled in a series of legal battles concerning intellectual property rights. Several lawsuits were filed against him by former collaborators and business partners, claiming unpaid royalties and breach of contract. These legal disputes not only threatened his financial stability, but also cast a shadow over his reputation as a fair and ethical businessman. On a personal front, Diddy was dealing with the pressures of maintaining his public image amidst growing scrutiny. His relationships, both personal and professional, were under the microscope, with tabloids frequently speculating about his private life. Reports of strained relationships with former associates and family members added to the mounting pressure, painting a picture of a man grappling with the demands of his multifaceted life. Despite these challenges, Diddy continued to project an image of resilience and determination. He remained active in the music scene, releasing new projects and collaborating with artists across genres. His appearances at high-profile events and interviews were marked by a confident demeanor as he sought to reassure fans and stakeholders of his unwavering commitment to his craft and business ventures. However, behind the scenes, the federal investigation was intensifying. Sources close to the investigation revealed that authorities were building a case against Diddy, focusing on alleged financial misconduct and potential involvement in organized crime activities. The investigation was shrouded in secrecy, with few details emerging publicly, but it was clear that the stakes were high for the music mogul. As the investigation progressed, Diddy reportedly sought legal counsel and began preparing for a potential legal battle. His legal team, comprising some of the top attorneys in the country, worked tirelessly to address the allegations and negotiate with federal authorities. Despite their efforts, the situation seemed to be spiraling spiraling out of control, with the possibility of an arrest looming on the horizon. The tension reached a boiling point in early September 2024, when federal agents conducted a series of raids on properties linked to Diddy. These raids, which were part of the ongoing investigation, resulted in the seizure of documents and electronic devices believed to contain evidence of financial misconduct. The raids sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, signaling that the investigation was nearing a critical juncture. On September 16, 2024, the situation came to a head when federal authorities executed an arrest warrant for Diddy. The arrest, which took place at his Los Angeles residence, was carried out with precision and involved a team of federal agents. Among the host of people who have filed a lawsuit against Diddy for different reasons is Thalia Graves. She came forward as the 11th individual to accuse Diddy of having his way with her non-consensually. According to the lawsuit filed in September 2024, Graves alleges that the incident occurred in 2001 at Diddy's New York City recording studio. Graves, who was an aspiring artist at the time, claims she was invited to the studio under the pretense of discussing her music career. However, the meeting took a sinister turn when Diddy allegedly inflicted injuries on her. Graves asserts that she was bound and forcefully laid with by Diddy and one of his employees, an ordeal that was not only traumatic but also recorded without her consent. The lawsuit further claims that the footage of the attack was later sold as pornography, adding another layer of exploitation to the horrific event. Graves has stated that the incident left her emotionally scarred, impacting her personal and professional life for years. The mess does not end there. In a stunning twist of events, New York Mayor Eric Adams, who gave Diddy the keys to the city, has been indicted on 5 counts. His tenure has been marred by controversy and allegations that have now culminated in federal charges. The first whispers of trouble began in early 2023, when rumors surfaced about potential campaign finance violations. By mid-year, federal investigators had started probing into Adams's 2021 mayoral campaign, focusing on alleged illegal foreign donations from Turkey. The investigation intensified in late 2023, with federal agents seizing electronic devices from key figures within Adams' administration, including his chief fundraiser, Brianna Suggs. On September 26, 2024, the situation reached a boiling point as federal investigators executed a search warrant at Gracie Mansion, the official residence of the mayor. All of the controversies, the New York mayor came into limelight during the period Diddy got arrested, and people are trying to draw links between the two incidents. It got more intriguing when the deputy mayor and a host of others in the mayor's cabinet sent in their resignation. A bigger controversy, which has resurfaced since Diddy got arrested, is his link with Tupac's death. Reopening a case as complex and high-profile as Tupac Shakur's murder involves navigating a labyrinth of legal and investigative challenges. The decision by Tupac's family to enlist the expertise of attorney Alex Spiro marks a pivotal moment in the quest for justice. Known for his work on high-profile cases, Spiro brings a wealth of experience and a reputation for tenacity to the investigation, offering new hope for uncovering the truth. The legal process of revisiting Tupac's murder involves a meticulous examination of existing evidence, witness testimonies, and any new information that may have emerged over the years. Spiro's role is to piece together the puzzle, identifying potential leads and connections that may have been overlooked or dismissed in previous investigations. This includes scrutinizing the explosive claims made by Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who alleged that Diddy offered him $1 million for a hit on Tupac. The implications of this investigation are profound, not only for the legacy of Tupac Shakur, but also for the broader hip-hop community. If a link between Diddy and Tupac's murder is established, it could reshape the narrative of one of music's most enduring mysteries, challenging long-held beliefs and potentially altering the perception of key figures within the industry. One of Diddy's most publicized alleged victims is Lil Rod Jones. Lil Rod shocked the world when he filed a 100-page lawsuit that extensively detailed many crimes allegedly committed by Diddy, including grooming, among other things, including serious allegations against high-profile celebrities and members of Diddy's closest associates. According to the lawsuit, Rod is a musical prodigy, and his talents have been used to produce and create music that has been used by some of the biggest names in the industry. It says he met Diddy in August of 2022 after he received a call from him which requested his assistance on Diddy's up-and-coming album titled The Love Album Off the Grid. This would be any up-and-coming producer's dream. Getting a call from one of the biggest names in music to be part of their first album in nearly 20 years would sound like an amazing opportunity. However, according to Rod, this dream would soon become a nightmare. The lawsuit states that from September 2022 to November 2023, Rod worked on and helped produce 9 songs from the album. That doesn't sound like that long, since we know albums can sometimes take years to finish. But what was strange is that Diddy allegedly required Rod to live with him for the entire duration. That's right. For over a year, Rod was effectively spending months at a time with Diddy working on the album. Rod says that he missed birthdays, birthdays, holidays, and important family events during that time. Sadly, missing out on his personal life was the least of Rod's worries, as the lawsuit claims he witnessed and endured many things that went far beyond what any producer would be expected to do. Things like exploitation, drug use and distribution, providing laced alcoholic drinks to minors, and many more serious crimes. What's even more shocking is that Diddy isn't the only person that's named in the lawsuit. Many high-profile people, like the actor Cuba Gooding Jr., the Oscar-winning actor known for his role in films like Boys in the Hood. The lawsuit claims that Diddy groomed Rod into having intercourse with Cuba and that he even groped him. Cuba, who's been accused of various crimes related to sexual misconduct, has broken his silence on it and has had this to say in his defense.
Your name, for example, was mentioned in the Diddy case.
Which was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Because you barely know
This is the
right?
most ridiculous thing ever. But again, welcome to being a celebrity.
Despite claiming to barely know Diddy and saying the case is ridiculous, the lawsuit shows pictures that appear to be Cuba getting very intimate with Lil Rod. You've got to admit, whoever's in that picture looks very similar to Cuba Gooding Jr., and since his hands are all over Rod, the claims that he did inappropriate things to him might not be that ridiculous. Apart from Cuba, there's a whole host of names implicated in Rod's lawsuit. Like we mentioned before, a world-famous pastor known as Bishop T.D. Jakes was said to have been leveraged by Diddy to soften the impact the Cassie Ventura case had on his public image. While that alone doesn't implicate T.D. Jakes as being guilty of any crimes, it got a lot of people wondering why he was so closely associated with Diddy and his crazy parties that have been notorious for years. In 2022, a video went viral on Facebook which showed T.D. Jakes at Diddy's 53rd birthday party. Even without the alleged criminal activity, Diddy parties have always been known as quite a sinful affair, so what was a pastor doing there? In the pastor's defense, a spokesperson came out to say that Jakes only stopped off at the party after a brief visit since he was in town. A massive part of many of the lawsuits against Diddy is the elaborate sexual nature of Diddy's parties and the so-called freak-offs that occur in them that are alleged to often have homosexual acts being performed. Many think it's entirely inappropriate for a pastor to ever attend a Diddy party, and it's safe to say they're right. We may never know for sure what went on at Diddy's 53rd birthday party in regards to T.D. Jakes, but Diddy's ex-security guard, Gene Deal, who attended many of these parties, had a few things to say about it. He says that back in the day, the crazy sexual stuff would happen behind closed doors, but nowadays it happens out in the open, suggesting that the bishop would definitely have seen some sinful behavior going on. Here's Deal talking about it.
Maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and T.D. Jakes are among the long list of names that the Rod lawsuit talks about, but there are some that have been redacted, which people are very curious about. Since the Rod lawsuit back in February, Meek Mill's name has constantly been mentioned due to people believing he was one of the redacted names. Since Diddy's arrest, a new viral leaked audio has been circulating that people claim is of Diddy having sex with Meek. Meek Mill has denied the previous allegations and the new ones and said, the two things they say, we snitching or we gay, we generating hundreds of millions from music, it's not a coincidence we all gay and snitches. Meek definitely has a lot more to say, but will not, at least for his own sake, because stuff that he and Diddy allegedly did is not welcome in the hip-hop community. Another victim who sued Diddy was Cassie, but Diddy opted to settle out of court. Besides Cassie, there are other celebrities whose names have been mentioned in Diddy's scandal so far. Other celebrities named in the scandal. In Lil Rod's lawsuit, he mentioned Young Miami and her cousin as a part of those who were forcefully inappropriate with him. The allegations made by Lil Rod against Young Miami's cousin are nothing short of shocking. According to the lawsuit filed by Lil Rod, the events of November 23, 2022 unfolded in a manner that left him traumatized and seeking justice. The atmosphere was typical of many high-profile recording sessions, with music blaring, people mingling, and substances being passed around. Diddy, who was reportedly intoxicated, offered Lil Rod cocaine, which he declined. Feeling uncomfortable, Lil Rod decided to take a break and headed to the restroom. What happened next is at the heart of Lil Rod's allegations. As he was using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin, who was reportedly her assistant, burst into the bathroom. According to the lawsuit, she began groping Lil Rod without his consent. Lil Rod believes that Diddy sent her there to be inappropriate with him, a claim that adds a layer of conspiracy to the already disturbing incident. The documents detail how Young Miami's cousin allegedly dropped to her knees and began performing oral sex focus on Lil Rod. Shocked and horrified, Lil Rod pushed her away and attempted to leave the bathroom. However, the nightmare did not end there. The lawsuit states that Young Miami's cousin did not accept his rejection and followed him out of the bathroom. In a brazen and disturbing display, she started undressing and attempted to straddle Lil Rod, trying to have sex with him in the presence of Diddy and his staff. Once again, Lil Rod pushed her off, managing to escape the situation. Well, that lawsuit filed by Lil Rod has not been treated fully, and Diddy has not received any judgment on it yet. Speaking of celebrities involved in Diddy's scandals, in a jaw-dropping revelation, Jason Lee set the entertainment world abuzz with his claim of witnessing an extraordinary gathering at the opulent home of music. Mogul Diddy, the unexpected attendees, none other than the iconic rapper Jay-Z and the influential pastor T.D. Jakes. Although he claimed he did not see anything weird, name-dropping both Jay-Z and T.D. Jakes sure made things interesting and suspicious, because since Diddy was arrested, Jay-Z and T.D. Jakes have been so silent that their silence could cut through butter like a hot knife. Speaking of Diddy's parties, which are nicknamed freak-offs, a celebrity who admitted to attending one of such freak-offs was Khloe Kardashian. She admitted it in a video of Keeping Up with the Kardashians and mentioned that was where she crossed paths with Justin Bieber. The video, which was recorded in 2014, has Khloe telling Kourtney about the wild event that "I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Well, this party, half the people there were naked. You would have loved it." When Khloe Kardashian admitted to attending one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, the revelation sent shockwaves through both the public and media landscapes. It's really telling that many celebrities corroborate that Diddy indeed used to host these freak-off parties. It remains to be seen if Diddy will finally be sentenced to time in jail or will be discharged and acquitted. If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards displayed on your screen for more.